law and order is something conceived on a serious level. It's not just stopping the emergency at the last minute. It's just an idea of law and order, an idea of a new order that we have to preserve and that we have to defend. And this is something that I think is showing quite a lot. And also not just on immigration. For instance, the last thing on immigration that we said is quite simple. We cannot have any immigrant in this country. Obviously, we think our Constitution says that we should stop immigration and we should start repatriation. It's something that I learned in England, even the word, but repatriation. Well, now what we say that what is immediate and what has to be done immediately is that any immigrant that in the past, in our country, in their country, has committed a crime of any sort should be expelled immediately. We have in Italy a Home Secretary from the League that is quite sensitive about the things and he listens quite a lot to what we say. So when we had the G8 the other day, the G8, the meeting of the big eight presidents of the world, he stopped the Schengen Agreement for more than a month. He could have stopped it for 2 days. He stopped it for more than a month. He wanted to try really if it can be done, if the Schengen Agreement can be stopped, basically to put borders to put presence of the police at the borders. And it worked completely. So he was fascinated by it. And this idea to stop all immigrants if they have committed crime or when they commit crime, he said, well, this is a very good idea, let's see if we can do it. So in this instance, it's not because I believe that this government is good. It is true that maybe in the government there are some good people. Maybe, I have to say, probably it's a better situation than the one you have here. And you have, but what is more important, you have the people of our country that are turning to nationalism and traditionalism very, very fast. And we have to follow that trend. We have to follow that trend because that trend could become a national reawakening. But also in social issues, I heard again this word which is very important, distributism. And it's something that I have introduced in Italy as a word. It doesn't exist in Italy, the word distributismo, but we have created it. We took it from England, from the thinking of your young lions then, but also from G.K. Chesterton and Belloc and the fathers of distributism. This is a very important ideological development that has become in Italy crucial. In Italy, remember, is a country where you have a lot of small enterprises. We do not have, thanks God, all these big, huge stores. We have them, but we not have as many as we have here. And we tend to resist the crisis because we have millions of family business. And this is what is still making our country, and I think it's still what is making your country to defend itself. When a business is a family business, a small business, has got much more possibility to defend itself. But again, what we need to do, and this is important, what Nick said before is extremely important, we have to join forces in an intelligent way. We are not creating any sort of strange international. No, we have to collaborate in an intelligent way, because I could see something that maybe Nick doesn't see, he could see it the day after, and I don't see it. Well, for instance, one of the things in international politics, and I think it's very important, international politics, that we are seeing together, is the fact that there is a new element in Europe, which is very, very important, and it's the presence of a new Russia, which is not anymore the Soviet and communist Russia. It's something different, and it's leaning very quickly towards nationalism. So we have to be ready there. We have to be ready. We can talk to friends in that situation, and I'm afraid we cannot talk as friends to people like Obama. They will never be friends to us. I come to the Muslim problem. You have a much more serious Muslim problem than us, but we can stop it now. there is a very strong movement in Italy to stop Islamic immigration. It's a very strong movement to stop immigration and that's it. That is a stronger movement to stop Islamic immigration. Why? It's obvious. Because when you have that kind of immigration, it changes everything. It changes the areas where they live. Tendentially, they work for Sharia. Eventually, if they can, they will establish their law territorially. And I think there was a proposal to do this country in an area of London at one stage, to have Sharia there because they were all Muslims. When you have Sharia, you have a new law, which is intrinsically against all what we believe. Well, in that case, I think it's very important that the British National Party got the vote and got an European election, but it's very, very important to mobilize people in the areas. And when people mobilize, they should mobilize in the traditional way, with leaflets, with presence in the street, and explain that when Islam arrived in Europe, it destroyed Europe. I'll tell you just one quick thing. There was a poem in the 8th century that describes Spain as a country where a squirrel could go from one tree to the other across all Spain. Why is it not anymore like that? Because they have 700 years of Islam. Islam hates agriculture. Agriculture is at the basis of our civilization. They hate it. And when Islam comes, the desert grows bigger and bigger. This is something that people can understand very easily. They can see it historically, where Islam has been, there has been a growth of desert. Even in North Africa. I have to say, this is an important thing. I heard people talking about Africa before. And this is a truth that we have to say. When Europeans were there, the Africans were not leaving the continent. And I remember when I was very, very young, when I was keen in geography, I was learning all the time the books and what was happening in all the continents in Africa. Africa was not the disaster that is now. Now you have war, AIDS, and famine. When the Europeans were there, you didn't have neither of these things. Well, one of the things that the Italians did, and I'm sure the British did the same thing in Rhodesia and other areas, is to send farmers. When we sent 20,000 farmers per year, it was I think 1936, 37 and 38, 20,000 farmers per year, the green line started from the Mediterranean Sea in Libya, went down and conquered half of the Sahara. When the Italians left, the green line went up. This is what Islam means. It means poverty. It means dissolution. It means, obviously, it means the end of our concept of woman. I mean, our entire philosophy, poetry, literature is based on the idea of woman, of mother, of sister, of daughter. Well, they destroy it. Well, if we go to explain in every city, in every small village, in the villages surrounding the future mosque, that this is what is going to happen, well, the establishment will be much warier to do something like that. We shouldn't just expect, well, it will come, a growing election, a growth deposit election. We should mobilize people because it's possible to avert the situation. And I can tell you two things. In two areas, Lodi and Genoa, we managed to stop the building of two mosques, to stop it. And I think it's very, very important. What was said also before from the guy with, right, a coincidence, was a black shirt. He said something, it is the training of the people, it is the strength of the people and the militants that can change the situation. It is true that there are historical events that at one stage provoke what could be, we could call for a moment, a national revolution. But if the army is not prepared, if the army is not trained, the army will not move. And in that moment, the army has to be very, very fast and to act immediately. And I think, obviously, with the leadership you have in this country. This is a very safe thing, especially to young people. When young people grow in a movement and the leadership is made by people who believe really and who have got also a moral, proper attitude, they grow in a healthy environment and they will grow good British people, good